Let's master a song together. One of my friends, Indigo Heaven, has a mixtape coming out, 10 tracks, and they needed them all mastered. This one's called Floating. I'm gonna walk you through my process. What I start off with on a master depends. On this song in particular, I just went straight into the EQ. It's a dance track. I didn't want to do too much to dampen the punch and the power of it. I just wanted to amplify some certain things and just make it punch even harder. So let's get into it. We're going to take this from the very beginning to the end. I'm not going to show you every single fine detail, but I will show you every step of the process. So first up, we went in with some simple EQ. I just wanted to raise those highs lightly and only on certain hits because I add more highs later. So here I just wanted it to be a rhythmic boost that you can see. And then I just did a tiny boost at 500 to give it some extra body. But that's the thing with mastering is each little change is a oopsie, I turned on everything. Each little change is just meant to be tiny and they build up into this hugely different product. Next up, I wanted to control some of the low end without taking away from the punchy transients of the kick, of the bass. So I used ozone equalizer. I just put it very lightly on certain frequencies that were popping out to me. Here's how it sounds with it off again. I don't know if you can hear it, but I feel like you can hear it just open up a tiny bit more. I'm gonna play you the difference. So here's what we're taking out on this. Let me see if I can just pump this a bit. So you can hear, I'm not taking out the transients. I have it on sustain mode so that it's only taking out just some of the tail of it and making space for the other transients to come in, making space for the next kick to hit. Because I want it to be just punch, 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 punch. Next up, we have Puig Tech, which is a not so secret weapon. This one is kind of insane when you hear it just by itself. Here's without the Puig Tech. You can hear it a bit in that crunch of the synth and the kick. Yeah. Ooh, juicy. And the fun trick with this that I learned in one of my mixing mastering classes was you do this thing where you boost and then you attenuate. So basically you're bumping it up and then you're cutting it down the same amount, but for some reason it still like fattens it up. It gives it this saturation without really increasing the loudness, which is one of the biggest parts of mastering, is trying to you want to keep the integrity of the song as it is. You just want to make it thicker, juicier. We just have one more EQ and then I'm going to turn all the EQs off and on and we're going to hear how they all sound together. Okay, so the next one up is called the API 560. And what this one lets you do is go into all these different frequency bands and you just edit them ever so slightly. So I go in and just listen to what change it makes, 16K, 8K, 4K, all of these. And I'm like, does it sound better with more or does it sound better with less? And that's all I do. A lot of these changes are like half a decibel or less. In mastering, you don't want to change too much. So we're just lightly sculpting because remember, I'm working from the final mix track. I'm not using the stems. So any change we make changes the whole song. So that's why it's these tiny things in little places that make it so you don't notice the changes until you put them all together and you're like, whoa, that's huge. I don't know if you'll really be able to notice a difference. To be honest, I don't really notice a difference. But when I'm making the changes, I notice the difference when I'm more locked in than now. Yeah, honestly, I don't hear a difference, but when we put them all together, we will. So this is with all of those EQs off, then I'm going to turn them on, back off, etc. Hear a subtle lift in that bass, in that punch, a little bit more air and like shine on the vocals. One thing that I like to do that I learned from a mixing teacher was I will play the song, I'll close my eyes and I'll just click it. So I don't know if it's on or off. And then I play it back and forth. When I hear the one I like better, I'll open my eyes and see what that is. Is it on or is it off? If it's on and I like it better, perfect, we're done. If it's off and I like it better, then either we're gonna delete it or we're gonna tweak it. Next, we have kind of the saturation, exciter, upward compression vibes, distortion, a lot of different things you can use in this section. I usually go with these two. I love the decapitator. And depending on the song, I'll put it on a different mode. We can see how little it's on. It's only 0.4 decibels of drive, but it makes a noticeable difference. So I'm gonna put it on. It just gives a little more air. Now, depending on the song, T is a good one. It just depends what you're going for. This one's literally called floating on air. So I went for the airiest one possible. The other ones are a little bit darker. So I don't use them very often on mastering, but sometimes they're good for individual tracks if you want to like blast them out a bit. Oxford Inflator, she's a vibe, and she's a not so secret weapon. It's literally just 2 faders, but it makes such a difference. You can really control the like sonic character of it. Now, what I also do is take the output down because you'll hear a bigger difference now. This is another one of those that doesn't actually make the song that much louder, but it makes it feel louder. So that's why I turn the output down, because I want it to still be, I only want to hear the changes it's making within the different frequencies. I don't want to be influenced by volume, whether I like it or not, because humans tend to like things. If it's a little bit louder, we'll think it's better, just because we can hear it clearer, up to a point, obviously. Let's play with both of those off and on. Again, you can just hear things crack a little more. Let's turn everything off so far. Yup. You can see, just adding those two on top of the EQ, it really starts to bring a new identity to the track. Okay, next up we have stereo imaging. I use different plugins for this different times. This is the one I started using when I was figuring out producing, and it lets you play with the placement of the different frequency bands. So bass, you almost always kind of want it to be mono, so I do that. And then I'll spread out some of the higher frequencies. Again, this is something subtle. You'll have to like close your eyes and see if you can hear it, or keep your eyes open, I don't know. You can feel it just spread apart a tiny bit, especially if you have headphones on. Again, I don't want to change too much. So after that, resonant frequencies will start to pop up. They might start to pop up. We got a lot of snare, we got hi-hats, we're adding a lot of air into this. And that's where we want to control some of that with the de-esser. Again, this is on the master, so we want to be very conservative. I put it on audition mode and I just sweep around to hear where it starts to sound a little too... The threshold doesn't hit too much. It's not hitting for, you know, I could have it like this, but then it's triggering the whole song. We don't want that. It's going to take away from certain things. Let's listen again with all these so far, and then we're going to go into the last kind of grouping. Now, honestly, you could make a case and say that it's a little bit too airy, a little bit too top heavy, but I just know when you're like banging this shit in a club, you'll want that because the bass will be a lot more powerful than you're hearing it in your headphones. Next up, we have my favorite mastering compressor. It has this filter, so you can make it so it only compresses sounds above 150. So for bass heavy tracks like this, it's great because I'm not compressing the kick, I'm not compressing the sub bass, you're letting that all through and you'll see the difference. So I'm going to turn it on and the song's going to get a lot louder now too. See, if I turn that filter off, the compression like doubles and it just takes the life out of it. You can hear that kick come back in. Then I have a clipper on, tiny peaks that are a little bit too high. It's cutting off just a millimeter, just a little bit to help take some of that work away from the limiter. Let's hear that. Just little bits and pieces. Next up, we have the limiter. It's the final gatekeeper of making sure the song is as loud as it's supposed to be to meet industry standards. So I try not to cut too much at this stage. I really like it to be around 3 decibels. Music like this, sometimes don't mind if it cuts more because there's already so much punch there, like it's okay. The mode I have it on and the settings I have it on make it just cut a little bit more of those higher vibes versus the lower. So now let's play again the original mix, the volume matched master, and then we'll give you a headphone warning, and I'm gonna play the final master. Okay, so here's the original mix. Master. Final master. So that's the master. If this was helpful, let me know. If you have more questions, let me know. If there's anything else you want to see me do, if you just want more of these videos, let me know. Just let me know. And if you need your own track mastered, I got you. Mwah.